especially with black men, my experience has been, because I've worked with a lot of boys. You know what I'm saying? I was a teacher for some years. I think you said you teach too, right?
Yeah, I taught. Yeah.
I was a teacher.
I'm teaching right now at the college level. I taught 1 year at high school, and man, that's not for the meek-hearted. And goddamn, I figured out I'm way more meek than I thought I was.
Oh no, you was in Texas though, so that might be a different.
I was in Oklahoma, inner city schools, Oklahoma City. That's basically like shit, the little sister of Texas. So I was dealing with, man, and during the pandemic. That's my first year of teaching was during the pandemic. So it was just a bad experience for me. You see how energy and I like to talk at the college level. My academic freedom and my ability to do what I like to do is real smooth. I was an English teacher. It's like the inner critic, philosopher, academic image is like, man, I'm teaching a whole bunch of Black, Native, and Mexican kids about, you know what I'm saying, like some random ass shit. And it's like, man, listen, we acknowledge that everybody in this motherfucker got learning disabilities. Why do y'all still want to push the curriculum that literally they are behind in already? You're acknowledging that, hey, listen, I'm teaching 9th, 10th grade English. We got 5th and 6th, 4th grade reading levels. Why are you still making sure I teach the statewide curriculum 9th and 10th grade? It's like, you don't care about these kids. So now I feel like I ain't teaching. I feel like I'm a goddamn probation officer and state proctor. I did not like that shit. I was good on it. Like
I don't know how I made it through 10 years of it, to be honest with you. I know how. I just really love the youth. And I realized for a while that, well, first off, I'm in Atlanta. So, you know, there's enough of us around that you can, like, I taught Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X, one of my last years teaching. You know what I'm saying? So like I got the sneak stuff in, but like everything you're saying about how the education system is devoid of any form of like critical engagement with their population and their needs.
Oh my God.
It's so true. And I would, like, my first couple of years, I had a lot of trouble. My first year I was in the suburbs. I used to have to drive past a Confederate museum to get to my school that I taught at. So I was only there for 1 year. After that, I went to Decatur, and I taught there for 3 years before, like, you know, moving on and figuring some other things out. But yeah, I forgot what the point of me bringing that up was, because I was an English teacher too. That's crazy.
English teacher, bro, I didn't like it. The college level gave me more ability to create my own syllabus, to pick my own readings, to, you feel me, almost in many instances talk shit and cuss as much, like really do what I like to do, like really be in my full element and not having to deal with people's parents and not having to walk through metal detectors and things like that. So it was cool, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I fight the more this conversation goes on, it make me think of just two things that's been going on through all of the algorithm streets the past 2 weeks right now. And to me, I think it's an internal link between Kanye West shit, Takeoff being murdered, and like the environment in which people are educated in, and the environment and how we learn our survival skills and what it means to survive based off of what we have access to and what we don't have access to. I think in many instances, it's easy to be like, yeah, niggas kill each other. In order for us to talk about anything else, we first have to talk about niggas killing each other. And for me, I recognize from a different socioeconomic background, when I lived in Norman, Oklahoma, that was 95% white, there were a lot of times that white people robbed each other, killed each other, assaulted each other. It didn't make state news. It didn't make national news. It was just seen as particular crime. It was just something sensational. Oh, it was something sensational about when we talk about it from a black standpoint, even when we acknowledge that there are similar rates to gun usage or similar rates to drug usage across the communities. And especially when we think about, if you say, oh, Kanye's spitting some real shit, because even if you feel like it ain't white Jews that run rap, you got to say there's some other people that run rap. It's like, if you can acknowledge that, but then still be like, but gangster rappers, drill rap is bad because of X, Y, and Z. It's like, let's think about how this full thing to me is in. And in this rant, I feel like this deploying my nice little, I feel like my country boy analysis that I feel like this works. You know what I'm saying? If you have a key, like a literal pen that has, 25, you know what I'm saying, hogs, a cage, 25 hogs, but it's only enough water and food to feed 5 hogs. I would argue that you have structured an environment that's going to create and necessitate hogs killing each other to survive.
Yeah.
Now, can we criticize the way they kill each other? Hell yeah. But should you have more energy for the way that the shelter, the way the environment is structured than you have? To me, it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? More energy, not like no energy. Right. Like both of these things should be acknowledged, but like, hey, listen.
We're not rewarded for complex engagement with issues, especially as Black people. Black people are rewarded for hot takes and inflammatory comments and antics. That's why, like, I one of my frat brothers, he ain't respond. I wanted him to respond so bad. He on Facebook, and somebody posted some shit like, how come we can see a picture of Takeoff dead, but Kanye can't do no more interviews? And I was like, first, I don't even, that's so many. First off, that don't make no damn sense.
Oh God, yeah, that's not even apples and oranges. That you've compared an apple to a tricycle. The only thing they got in town is both are red. Both of these things red.
Secondly, if I scroll down, it's a dude that interviewed Kanye, and it's like, nigga, what are you talking about then? Like, and you notice the only people interviewing Kanye at this point, and the main people that have interviewed Kanye since he's been on this most recent moment that he's having, I don't want to use any ableist terms, and I don't know what to call it, but it ain't good. So since he's been in this mode recently, he's talked to almost exclusively white people and on exclusively white media platforms, because white media is inherently invested in antics and hot takes from Black people. We take that goes back to eyewitness brother on the news. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all. Kanye is a $1 billion eyewitness man right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it even deeper for what I'm saying in terms of the analysis. To me, is looking like, what does it mean for Black people to internalize Black inferiority and then sell that Black inferiority back to Black people, and Black people be like, oh yeah, he's saying the truth. Because to me, it's like, even if you want to go with all of his anti-Semitic claims and how Jewish ownership and Jewish businesses is bad, and he's trying to empower Black people, like, what does that mean in the world that the next week you barge into a Jewish-owned Skechers demanding for a partnership? You didn't go into a Black-owned one. So to me, it's just really calling all these things in the void and recognizing. So from a business perspective, you've internalized Black inferiority, where you weaponize pro-Blackness and white supremacy for Black people and against Black people in a way where I think you're dangerous to the youth. So it's like, if I see a young Black 14-year-old, 15-year-old Black boy that's being like, hey, but consciously, even a broken clock get it right twice a day. I'm on some shit now, but hey, listen, what we do with broken clocks? We throw them motherfuckers away, don't we? Okay, so listen, if I gotta gauge this clock and be like, okay, is this saying 12 p.m. or 12 a.m.? What do I have to risk looking at this clock trying to figure out if it's saying the right time?
Which time of the day I can follow this shit?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So just like, to me, that's what, to me, I think, but going back to the environment claim, it's like, to me, it's just like, listen, we can talk about the spike in murder specifically for Black rappers, you know what I'm saying, since 2020. We also, to me, have to couch that in a broader understanding of structural violence, particularly when it comes to gun violence. If I can see that there's statistics that say that 76% of murders since 2020 have, you know what I'm saying, 76% of firearms, and it's talking about that across America, why does it make sense to sensationalize niggas as being uniquely wanting to kill each other? Why?
Right. Because and because it, you know, it adds to that narrative. My homeboy called it a hegemonic drive, especially for Black men, but I would say also for Black women, in that we are disempowered. We're in that pig pen you talked about, right? And it's only enough room. It's only enough food for 5 people in that 25 pig pen. And so what we start to recognize is that if you are a pig of a certain style, of a certain vibe, of a certain energy, you willing to behave a certain way, to do certain things, somebody might come and pull you out the pen and take you to a different pen. You know what I'm saying? And like as soon as you start doing that, you get rewarded, and then you become the voice. You become the voice for the pigs that are still there, and they don't, whether they know better or not to not give you credence, they don't have a choice. And that's the thing that's been driving me since I got 100,000 subscribers, is recognizing, because what I recognized was I won't call myself the biggest Obama supporter, but I think like most black people, I was a hardcore Obama supporter 08 to 2016. About 2015, I think about Trayvon Martin is when like it started to hit me for real. It started to dig in. And then like by the time we got to Mike Brown, I feel like that was 2015 or whatever. It was a series, right? If you remember that time period.
Facts.
By the time we got to Obama leaving, I really had to sit back and like I started reconstructing my political identity and understanding of the world. And then in the last couple of years, and shout out to, you know, even though I shit on BreadTube a lot, like shout out to ContraPoints and, you know, a handful of people that like help and also my grad, like shout out to Professor Wright, Professor Chow, Dr. Chow, who introduced me to all these other elements of analysis that I didn't have. And so like 4 or 5 years later, I'm starting to recognize, not only has there been an intentional destruction of like the core information that we need as a people, not just us, everybody needs a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But also there's been a very intentional platforming of Black voices who at best don't know what they're talking about and at worst are explicitly against us in their rhetoric, but we don't know any better and we don't have the option to deplatform those people. And so the best thing we can do right now is to build the shit on our own.